everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you are all doing really well. This video is a video I have been wanting to do for months. I'm in an R-ing as to whether I would do it, whether I would go ahead and actually post a video on it. But I think the more I grow and the more resin I do and the more people that watch me, it's only right that I feel I need to let you know about the safety aspects of epoxy resin and how strongly I feel about resin safety. So around January, February time this year was really when I noticed the massive rise in resin artists on TikTok. So TikTok is a relatively new platform for us oldies. Everyone always thought it was for the kids, but there is a huge art community on TikTok, and that is why I joined last year pre-COVID. The more I got to see more and more resin videos, the more I realized nobody was wearing masks, hardly anyone was wearing gloves, and there were a couple of people I used to follow that went live every single day on their TikTok, live with their audience with no safety wear, telling everyone it was fine, they didn't have to wear a mask. And because I'm a little bit mouthy, my mouth has got me in trouble in the past, I found myself getting agitated by people's just blasé attitude to resin safety. And if you're an influencer of any kind, I'm not sitting here pretending I'm a top influencer, but if you've got people watching you, and if you've got people watching you work and then deciding they want to do this, they like the look of this, they want to then do this, then you have a responsibility as a creator to take care and look after the well-being of anyone who watches your videos to make sure that they then go on to do it safely. This led me on to around February this year. I got a bit of a bee in my bonnet, I can't lie. I put a massive Instagram poll out on my Instagram stories, just asking everyone, do you wear a mask? If not, why not? What brand of resin do you use? I contacted all of the major brands of resin. That included Entropy Resin, Maz Epoxies over in America, Total Boat in America, Glass Cast, Craft Resin, Vista, all of these resins that I'd heard of, Resin Pro, and I asked them all the same question. Do you recommend that your users wear a mask? Do you recommend that your users wear respiratory protection? And the majority of these companies came back and said, yes, it's clear on our website. So this poll I did, I had a massive response. 50% of everyone who responded to my poll said, no, I don't wear a respirator. Around about 30% said they don't even bother with gloves. Now, this is where I felt like I didn't want to come across as your teacher. I'm not your mother, but I just felt it was important for me as a resin creator on YouTube to have people watching me knowing that that's not okay, that's not what I would recommend. And if anyone messages me with any resin questions, resin queries, how do I get started, mask, gloves, I am safety first, people. So here are my top tips for epoxy resin safety. Here goes. I know there's going to be people out there, and I will probably get comments saying, don't be such a drama queen. Epoxy resin is not that bad, Claire. Yes, it is, guys. Yes, it is. Okay, here goes. Number one, if you want to start epoxy resin, I really would recommend you think about where you live. Okay. I had one person telling me they live in a multi-occupied house. They have 2 children and they live in one room. Straight away I said, please don't do it. Please think of something else. Think of something more eco-friendly, more healthy for your environment and the room you live in. And that's just one example, okay? I've seen people using epoxy resin with their family, with their children. There was a lady on TikTok, I ended up blocking her after I messaged her numerous times. She was doing epoxy resin in her kitchen with her young, and I mean young, 4 and 5-year-old children. It's beyond me how people don't take their safety seriously. Anyway, respirator. You will see my very first resin video. I used a paper mask. I was ignorant. It was my first video. I thought I had researched, but I hadn't. I hadn't researched enough to know that I needed a proper respirator. I use a GVS Ellipse half mask. Other respirators are available. Now, you can get a full face shield, an oxygenator. You can go full whack and get a decent respirator. This is the one I use. Now, I would recommend doing your research, but organic filters, and then I change these every 5 to 6 months depending. If I'm wearing this and I can smell the food cooking downstairs, it's time to change them. You shouldn't be able to smell a single thing through your respirator. If you can smell a perfume, or if you can smell your candle burning, it's time to change. It's time to change that filter. Gloves, the amount of people I see not wearing gloves, and it really is a personal preference with gloves. If you don't wear gloves with epoxy resin, you risk skin to skin contact. That is skin conditions, dermatitis, eczema, and worse. Allergic reactions. My friend who started resin about a year ago had a major allergic reaction, all over body rash, ended up in A&E, and then she tried again a few months later. Same thing happened. Now, I have heard people saying it's only a matter of time before we are all susceptible to getting a reaction from epoxy resin. So the more you can do now to prevent that from happening, the better. Gloves. I use these nitrile. I mean, I'm not going to worry about the brand. I order different brands all the time. I use nitrile gloves. Now, I did start off using latex, and everyone said you shouldn't use latex. I didn't quite know why, because I was still very early in my resin days, but apparently it can get through latex, and latex can respond badly to the chemicals in epoxy resin. So nitrile gloves all the way. They are powder free and usually come in a color like a blue or a purple. Along with your gloves, if you wanted to, you could wear long sleeves and really protect your skin. This is something I myself don't do. I need to do it more. I find long sleeves just get in the way. But I don't want resin on my hands, and that is my #1 priority, is to protect my hands. If it gets on your skin, it is a nightmare to get off, an actual nightmare. I will use a wet wipe and tissue. I won't wash my hands in the sink with soap and water, because I don't want epoxy resin going into the waterways, into our oceans, and quite frankly, blocking up my plug hole. The reason for your eye protection is to stop any splashes. Now, in the 2 years I've been using epoxy resin, I have never, ever once had a splash of epoxy resin. It's not a splashy product. It's not like water. It's thick and gloopy. I wear eye protection because I feel that chemicals can get in through your eyes and into your system. If I'm wearing a mask to protect my lungs, then I will wear eye goggles to protect my eyes. You know, we know that air and gases, anything in the air can get into your eyes, and that's why I wear eye protection. I usually wear safety glasses or goggles, and that suits me absolutely fine. Ventilation. Ventilation is key. If you're working with epoxy resin, work in a well ventilated area. You can work outside, of course you can, but it's really temperature dependent, weather dependent. If it's cold, your resin won't set. If it's too hot, your resin won't set. It will go cloudy. You might get some amine blush on the top. It's just so, resin really is a fickle it's a fickle thing. You have to have the temperature right and the atmosphere in your room right. Any condensation, any conditions can actually hinder the chances of your resin curing. So yes, you can do it outside, and yes, you can do it in a shed, but if it's too cold, you'll have issues. You might also get bugs and flies landing in your resin, and then what would be the point of working outside? Now, there are Facebook groups, I've seen them myself, who think that epoxy resin inside the house, any house, is too dangerous and you should only use epoxy resin outside. For me, I'm doing what I can with the space I have and the resources I have, and I feel as though in this room with the windows open, wearing my mask, the craft room door closed to the rest of the house. I'm doing my bit for my own safety and for the safety of the people in my house. I say people in my house, there's only one other person. So mask, gloves, ventilation, eye goggles. The other thing I want to touch on is animals. Now, I don't have any pets and I really want a dog. One day I really want a dog. However, I've had 2 people message me when I did this safety poll saying that they had to stop epoxy resin in the home because their animals were getting sick. Now, disclaimer, I don't know if epoxy resin makes animals get sick. I don't know if that was the sole cause and blame of their animals getting sick. However, when they stopped using epoxy resin in the home, their animals got better. So I would just say, be cautious if you have got animals at home. If you can do it in a separate space in the house, try not to do it in the kitchen, communal living areas where people are going to be coming and going. Try, and if you can, get a separate room, your spare room, your box room, a craft room, the attic, anywhere where there's not going to be a flow of animals and a flow of people and children. So my final resin safety tip is really to think about disposing of your resin. When you finish your resin container, when the container, the bottle, the jar, whatever vessel it comes in, when you are finished with your resin, that really needs to go to the county tip and be disposed of through the chemical section. Okay, this is something I learned from day one. I have never put an empty, I'm looking around for empties, I don't have any empties. I've never put an empty resin bottle in with my main bin that gets collected every week by the binman. They're not really designed to be going to the tip. They're not designed to be taken away by your binman. They are a chemical and they should be disposed of through your local county tip, wherever you're based in the world. I don't know how it works in different countries, but for us, we would have to drive, go to the tip and put them in the chemical section of our local county tip to make sure that they are disposed of in the correct way. Similarly, and the final thing, I promise, the final thing. It's taken a lot for me to do this video and not get riled up. The final thing, the environmental facts, the environmental impact of epoxy resin being washed down the sink. Now, I have seen so many people, TikTok is the main place I see people, and they'll do a TikTok, today is washing day, and they throw all of their molds and their cups, everything they've got in silicone, they throw it into the bath with a big bath of soapy hot water. And my heart hurts because I've never tried using water to clean my molds. I never would, because I know that epoxy resin is plastic. It is toxic. That plastic is then going down the drains and into our oceans. Now, there's going to be waste with everything you do, whether you sew, paint, turn wood, metalwork. There is waste in art. And what we need to try and do is minimize our waste, however that may be. Gloves, that's waste, okay? And I'm very aware that that is waste and that will probably end up in landfill. I try to reuse my gloves 4, 5, 6 times before it hurts me to throw them away. So I know that there is waste in everything we do. The trick is to minimize as best you can in whatever field that you are working in. But putting plastic straight down the bath into the sea, into the waterworks, for me is a very avoidable thing. So the way I clean all of my silicone equipment is just sellotape. Again, that is a waste. I'm very aware that is a waste, but I'm trying to weigh up, you know, which one is better, you know, pouring plastic down the sink or using a piece of tape to get to clean the cups that I can then reuse. So I'm not here pretending there's no waste here. There is waste, okay? We want to try and minimize as much as possible, and please don't wash your silicone in the bath in soapy water. It might work, I don't know, I've never tried it, but really, where is that water then going? So those are the other things I wanted to talk about. I'm pretty sure I'm all talked out. There's probably not much more I could say, but I felt it was important to get these points across, and I hope you, if you're starting out in resin, you found this video helpful. And yeah, take care, and that's literal take care. Take care of yourself, take care of your lungs, take care of your family around you, the pets, anyone else who lives in your house, and just take it seriously if you are thinking of getting into this. And I'm going to stop talking because I can tell it's been a while since I've had an actual conversation with anyone. But I hope you found it helpful, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.